Dobrý den, vážení přátelé a milí sledovatelé našeho televizního kanálu a videokanálu. Dnes vás zdravím za situace, kdy vedle mne sedí pan Fernando Burgos, včerejší vítěz u ústavního soudu a jinak pronásledovaný otec, který se dost dlouho marně snažil vychovávat svou dceru a jeho případ řešil soud v Semilech. Tak jsme si ho pozvali, abychom si trochu popovídali, jak o ústavním soudě, tak zejména o jeho poslední zkušenosti s českou justicí, protože my dva máme to společné, že jsme se přednedávnem z péče české justice vrátili. Pan Fernando Burgos si strávil v českých věznicích 10 měsíců, já v uvozovkách pouhých 6 a byli jsme propuštěni skoro zaráz. Takže teď máme po Vánocích, sešli jsme se, protože se dlouhou dobu známe. Já jsem pana Burgose po jistou dobu zastupoval v jeho civilním řízení opatrovnickém a chtěl jsem se ho teda zeptat na jeho zkušenosti a jeho názory na českou justici. Pues, bienvenido, Fernando, en República Checa.
Gracias.
No vamos a cerrarte otra vez, aquí estamos libres todos. La primera pregunta, ¿qué idioma vamos a hablar? ¿Vamos a hablar español o inglés?
Bueno, podemos empezar con inglés, a ver dónde terminamos después.
A ver dónde terminamos, muy bien. So we shall continue in English in order our listeners can follow us better. My first question would be, you have a daughter here in the Czech Republic.
I do, yes.
You have. Could you tell us something about it? How did you come to a daughter? What was the development afterwards? If you wanted to care about her, with what result? Where it has been solved? Which court did it solve and how? Whether they have, let's say, saved or how they have treated your father's rights? If you have been satisfied or not with this, and what was your decision afterwards?
Yes, well, it's quite a funny question because we went to the court. Well, the mother went to the court to get sole custody of our daughter, or to, for the court to decide, to help us decide about it, because we couldn't agree together, so we needed help from the court to help us come to an agreement. And I was living in Sweden, and the mother was living here in Czech Republic. So it was a tricky situation for all of us, and it is the first child that we have, me and the mother. So normally you go to the court and ask for help us with this question. But the funny thing is that instead of helping us, the court instead ruined our lives, and specifically my daughter's life, her future, because now of course she's little, but she's gonna be 7 years. She's 7 years today.
So you really believed when coming to the court that they will help you?
I heard some stories in Sweden about Czech Republic, and I asked around, what is the situation in Czech Republic. I asked here, people here, and they said to me, well, don't worry, this is the European Union. And
so you have seen the European Union working in practice.
This is the heart of the European continent, basically. So, and I was told it's going to take 6 months, and that fathers have rights, children have rights. There are international laws that everybody has to follow, and that children are not being treated like cattle anymore,
like cows.
Like cows, that this is my cow, and this is your land, your cow. This was before, 50 years ago. But slowly, I met you in the beginning, as you know, and you told me the reality. You know, it was like a slap in the face for me, like a wake-up call. You know, when you told me how things were here, and you know, slowly I found out that you were actually very right about well, everything actually. Everything you told me has become true.
Which is sad, of course.
Yeah, it is.
Which is very sad.
It shouldn't be like this. I mean, in the perfect world, children should have their parents, and we have the law. There is nowhere written in the law that a father comes in second place. There is nowhere, and it is only in the head
yeah.
of the judges, you know, of the people. Not only the judges, but the social officers, all these people who are being paid by your tax money to do a job, and they instead give you their discrimination, their you know, they cling on to this dying prejudice that fathers should only pay money to the mothers, and they should not see their kids
without any rights.
Exactly, and I found out about this, and well, you know, you followed me slowly in this process. So it's the hard fact, the hard truth about the family courts.
You have mentioned that there is nowhere written that father is the second person in among the parents. But what is written almost everywhere, and everywhere uses it as a, let's say, a protection slogan for everything, is the interest of the child. Have you heard it? And especially, do you think that these authorities, or any of these officers from these authorities, police, social office, judge, let's say court employees, any of them, have they any time followed the real interest of your daughter?
I don't think they know what it is, you know. I don't think they know what it is, the best interest of a child. I think I think they don't know it, because they probably think that the mother is the best interest of the child
every time,
and well, this is what I say. It's a dying prejudice that this is the case, that the mother is the best interest of a child. And for me it was a shock, because I come, you know, I'm South American, but I've been living in Sweden since I was very young, and I've been taught in Sweden that fathers and mothers are equal. Mothers shouldn't get less paid than men when they work. That you know, women have rights to vote. That they should get the same retirement pension, and that children should spend time with their fathers. And this is important. And you, as a father, have to take responsibility for your children. And this you've been taught in the rest of the Western world, you know, and you come here, and it's like going back in time, you know, 50 years. I don't know. I guess
maybe 70.
Maybe 70. I don't know. I'm not so old, you know, so I don't know how it was before. But you face a different reality here, and you have the law. The law says like this. It is written.
It's valid.
It's valid. It's international law. And you come here and you show this to the police, and you tell him, you know, I'm supposed to have my daughter here today, and he doesn't understand the importance of this, you know. So, and you think, you know, this guy is like an exception among police officers, that he doesn't know his duties and best interest of children, doesn't he has a child. But this is a common situation here. It's common, I would call it problem, you know.
It is a problem, certainly. This we agree very, very easily. Well, so you had a daughter. The court in Semily started to solve it somehow. Let's say solve it. Well, in brackets. And after all, you have seen that you definitely are not the 100% equal with mother, and you don't have a proper access to your child. Is it so?
I didn't. No, I didn't have proper access to her during all these years that we had this family court in Semily.
So what did you do then when you saw that they don't treat you properly, then they do not respect your father's rights? What have you done there?
You know, there's not much you can do actually. You have your lawyer, and you tell your lawyer, you know, this is the law, and the lawyer knows the law, and you say, this is the law. I want to have access to my daughter, and the lawyer goes to the judge and with a paper, and she says to the judge, well, it's written in the paper that the father here, good father, perfect man, wants to go on holidays with his daughter, and the judge says no, and then there's nothing you can do about it, and you apply next holidays, Christmas perhaps, to have holidays with your daughter, and you go to the lawyer again, you pay her money, and the lawyer goes to the judge again, and he says no, and then you confront your lawyer and you say, what's going on here? This is the law, and I pay you to go there and defend my rights. And the lawyer says to you, well, I can only follow the law, the lawyer says. And if the judge doesn't follow the law, there is nothing I can do about it because I'm a lawyer. And you are in this situation where it becomes like something very strange. You know, it's not functioning. It's a failed system. It's a failed system. It's a miscarriage of justice.
Miscarriage of justice, exactly. This is a proper word. Well, so you followed, let's say, your interest with your daughter how many? 3-4 years at the Semily court with no result?
Yeah, well, it started 2012. It passed 2012, 2013, 2014 passed. You know, it was we had passed 3 years and we had entered our 4th year, and you know, my daughter, she was 1 year old when the court started. When she became 5 in January 2016, there was still no one single court date in our case, and so my daughter is, you know, from 1 to 5. She's been living in a situation where we have only like a preliminary injunction given by the court, and this injunction says that I should have the right and responsibility to have my daughter Friday 1 week, the next week Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the next week Friday, and the next week Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Any holidays or Christmas or anything?
Nothing. No, this is the elephant in the room, because if you have like this every week, like this, okay, if it was 6 months, you know, okay, if it's 1 year, and you think, well, this is too much, you know, you have no time there for any holidays to go anywhere, and usually, you know, the normal rhythm of a person's life of 1 year is that you work one semester, and then you have holidays, time to relax and to do you know, to catch up with your reading or friends and family, and then you start working again, and then you have holidays again. And this is the normal rhythm of every culture, I think. I don't know any culture that don't have holidays during the whole year. Yeah. And if you don't have this, you know,
maybe the judge would be surprised if you tell him that he wouldn't have any holidays because you don't have them with your daughter.
No, I mean,
which is the same,
yeah,
let's say, way of thinking.
but he needs to have his holidays, I think, you know. But we didn't. And if you have it like this every year, you know, from the child is 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, and you think, what's, you know, I mean, this becomes like a torture for any person.
Definitely.
And because, and you have these days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this is not only like a good time with your kids, you know, it's also a responsibility. You have to have these days because it's your child. It's not that you take them because you want them, it's because it is your responsibility. So I have to be there every day, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week, every half a year, every 2 years. And I didn't miss any of these days. I was here, although I live in Sweden. You know, it's quite
difficult to come.
Yes. So it became like a torture. This family.
So you felt it as a torture for you and for your daughter.
Definitely, you know, my daughter, she was young. She was 1 year, and she became 5 years old. But you know, she doesn't. Many people would say that she doesn't know what's going on. But I would say, if my daughter was say 18 years old, she would definitely protest. What's going on? Why are all these kids having this normal life and I don't? And I, as a parent, I have the obligation to protest for her rights as a father.
That's correct.
And when you're the only one protesting and saying, hey, listen, this is wrong, and then you have the judge, the social office, who all these people who get paid to do this job, and they do nothing about it. What kind of system is that? You know, this is not. It's not a society based on like civilized culture and law and justice. I cannot say that this is correct.
Yeah, it's definitely not correct. It shouldn't be like this.
So how do you do it? I mean, is it always like this? I should ask you questions, but you know the system better than I do. Maybe.
Yes, I know it better, and I must say, when I get to know how this system is working, even I am Czech, I was surprised in the same way as you were. I felt as a foreigner in my own country.
Yeah.
So I had the same feelings like you did.
Any reasonable person who can reason and understand simple things would come to the same conclusion, that this is wrong.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
that this is something very strange.
The problem is no one is interesting, and especially where I feel the strongest problem is that no one is protesting. There are really very few of us who not only dislike this system but also have the courage to protest. And you see that I am in prison, let's say every 2 years for at least 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And of course, such a way of living is not acceptable for the majority. So in this way, they prefer to get silent and to get mouths closed and not to protest in order to avoid such a way of living, because then they destroy you completely, not only the family but also the possibility or the ways of getting your living, because then you have nothing to live from. We have mentioned last time that people don't have courage enough to fight with this system, and they consider it as a wrong but standard way, and they more or less are willing to accept it. But you, as a foreigner, you were not willing to accept it, and you started to solve it by yourself. Let us tell us, or let you tell us what was your solution and what were the let's say conclusions of yourself and consequences of it.
Well, I don't have any solutions. You know, what happened was I don't have any solutions. It's a big problem. And
I don't think with the system, but with your daughter, you have taken some decision. So what was the decision?
Well, I basically went on holidays with my daughter. I did that, and I had promised her to take her on holidays, and every year, and it didn't happen, you know, and. it didn't happen. And when a father promises his child something, a good father
should fulfill it. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, because in every culture, I think family is the most important cultural thing.
Yes, that's correct.
That you have, and I went on holidays with my daughter. It was very, unplanned. It was just,
not prepared.
Not prepared, and it had with it some consequences.
And
and
these consequences were which ones?
The consequence was, well, I took my daughter on holidays, and I was in prison for it. This was the consequences.
How did it happen?
Well, I got when I went to Spain with my daughter. I went from Czech Republic, and we drove first to Germany, where we had planned some
by car.
By car, yes. We planned to do some skating, and from there we continued to Spain. And
¿Cómo lo ha estado en España?
Pues, España, ¿cómo está España? Está muy bien España.
¿Y cómo vosotros habéis estado ahí?
It's funny you ask this, because the prosecutor in the court, he didn't ask me so many questions in the court. I thought he was gonna.
So I am more detailed than the prosecutor, you mean?
Sorry?
I am more detailed than the prosecutor.
Yes, you can say that. He didn't ask me so many questions, but one of these questions were how the weather was in Spain. I thought that was funny. I was prepared for some real tough questions in court, but the prosecutor, he was more interested in the weather of Spain. So
that's really funny.
It was funny. So
maybe he was planning some holidays.
Yeah, well, I hope he doesn't have children, because it's difficult to
get them there.
To get them to. Yeah, no. So we went to Spain, and Czech Republic issued an arrest warrant, European arrest warrant for me. And
how did you get to know about it?
How did I get to know about it? It's so long time ago that. I was on holidays. I didn't want to think too much about
policemen
or what was going on here. Although I was getting information from friends in Czech Republic that they were telling me, don't come back to Czech Republic.
They are looking for you.
Yeah, they're saying they're doing a lot of strange things, and although they said to me. Many years ago, the grandmother of my daughter, from the mother's side, told me that when they took my daughter away from me for 4 months, I couldn't see. I saw her sometimes, but it was very, very under very bad circumstances. And when I said to her, "You cannot do this to take my daughter away from me," and like this, and she said to me, "This is allowed in Czech Republic. You can do this. It's not against the law." And I asked the policeman who was next to me, and he said, yes, he confirmed it. In Czech Republic, you can do the same, he said to me. This was in the beginning of when the mother sought the family court for sole custody. But so I knew it was not against the law to do this, but they issued an arrest warrant, and I thought that was strange, because according to this policeman and the grandmother is not against the law. So I contacted the mother. We had email communication, and I tried to make an agreement with her, and and to stop this arrest warrant, you know, because I mean nobody wants to go back with your child and then
be arrested,
be in jail, especially not in a foreign country where they say it's not illegal to do this, but then they threaten you with jail, you know. So
strange.
So I tried to make an agreement with the mother, and she said first yes, and then some time went, and she said no, and then.
What was the agreement about? What was the purpose of or content of the agreement?
The content was, well, I just wanted to get this over and done with, you know. I was fed up of.
So you proposed that you will bring back the daughter, and
yes.
she will take away this announcement for the warranty.
My main priority was to make an agreement with the mother and to make a solution that would be good for my daughter and for all of us, you know. So so the agreement was for this reason, basically, and of course this would if we come to an agreement, then there wouldn't be any arrest, or and my daughter would have two parents, live a normal life.
That's true. That's true.
And so this would be an agreement would be good for all of us. And in the agreement, the first agreement said like this, that I would live in Sweden, where I usually live, and my daughter will come and visit me only on holidays in Sweden, and the mother will have my daughter living in here in Czech Republic, and go to school here and live here basically, and just go visit me on holidays, which was a good agreement, I think, a good suggestion. Yes, I've been fighting for shared custody, 50-50 for 4 years almost.
For both parents.
Yeah, and then I offer something which is better. It's actually 75% with her and 25% with me. It's a better offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
But she refused it, and we went on like this month after month, and finally it came up to 9 months, and I couldn't stay in Spain anymore.
And what was her standpoint or point of view? You said that she refused it. So what she proposed or what she wanted, really?
This is also strange because she didn't propose anything.
Anything?
You know, nothing.
Only wanted you to get to prison.
I think
this was the reason.
She seemed more interested in getting me in prison, basically. But she didn't propose anything. She only said that I was, really, I just don't really want to talk about it. It's just, I tried to make an agreement with her. I made a lot of effort to do this, and
no success.
The question is not what I tried to do. If the question is why didn't she try to do everything to make an agreement?
Exactly.
And I did everything I could, and
the result was nothing.
The result was nothing, and I don't blame the mother so much, although maybe I should. But in a democracy, people have the right to be difficult. People have the right to be ignorant. People have the right to be stupid. People have the right to be unhealthy. But what is not right is that the people in charge of the system, that they do not know the law, and they don't follow the law.
They do not follow it,
and they corrupt the system. This I cannot accept, and neither should you or anybody else accept this. And people should stand up for these rights, because what you have now, 19,000 prisoners in Czech Republic in the prisons.
More, 23.
Really?
23,000.
Okay, last report I read from the Swedish country report that they make every year, it was about 19,000. But okay, so and these people go through the system, and if the system it's a lot of people, and it's actually the prisons are overcrowded here.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Will be in the future too.
Yes.
Or even more. Yes, certainly.
Well, if you say it, I believe it.
Because you have noticed that in Sweden there is no crime of non-payment of the children allowances, while here it is a crime. A lot of prisoners are imprisoned for this reason. Have you seen them, or have you noticed this?
I know. I met some prisoners there with exactly, and I think it's completely. I mean, how is it possible that not having money it's a crime?
Completely against the basic rules of the European Union. Okay.
Mm.
Well, so you were in, let's say, in holiday in Spain.
Mm.
Where do you return from there?
We passed through France. We went to see the Eiffel Tower.
Paris.
Paris. Yes, I promised my daughter she would see the Eiffel Tower, and we went there. We stayed in a.
Just forever so far, because
yeah, you're right. Exactly. My first Christmas, my daughter was there, and under a warrant.
Under a warrant, yeah. Which you already knew.
I knew it by then, yes. But it's strange that you have to do this like this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then what was going on?
Then after Christmas, sometime after that, maybe I don't know, some 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I got arrested in Sweden based on this European arrest warrant.
How did it happen? Or yeah, well, what was your impression from that?
Well, the police knew I was in Gothenburg because I called them, I spoke to them, and I knew that there was an arrest warrant, and but then after a few weeks there, I got arrested anyway. I was out with my daughter, and 6 policemen, civilian police, they arrested me in the street. And
in front of your house, I suppose.
No, this was in the center.
In the center.
Yes, and it's not a nice.
What did they tell you? What did they tell you by arresting?
They told me about this European arrest warrant, and I didn't deny it anything, or I asked them if they knew about this situation behind this, and they didn't seem to know about this situation. But they only knew there was an arrest warrant, and the charges was kidnapping, hostage taking, and something. And slowly we started to we talked there. It was a tense situation, but we spoke. Yeah, I spoke to them. My family came, the policeman was very nice. All of them. Very kind, and they got to hear the story about this, and then when I was taken away, actually one of the policemen, he got a tear in his eyes. It was very emotional.
Did they know anything about the justice situation in the Czech Republic?
We talked about it, and he this guy, he said he understood. He has kids of his own, 2 children, and the other guy, one of them was like the group boss, the group chief of this man, and he said he can imagine what the situation here, and it's kind of it's Czech Republic, it's an eastern country. Former Soviet Union, and people are aware of it, but people don't know
what does it mean?
What it means in practical life, And I think these policemen there, they got a glimpse of it when I told them about this arrest warrant and that it was issued, and I was issued with this SIS2 system, which is the Schengen Information System 2. And I don't know if you know about it, but this system was developed to chase terrorists in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's a surveillance system, that they use facial recognition and
to prevent terrorist movements around Europe.
Exactly, and it was one of the first cases.
So the first terrorist which you got were you?
Yeah, I mean, you can put it like this: that Czech Republic, the state, uses this system to chase fathers, in Europe instead of
complete misusing of the system.
Yes,
why it was developed.
Exactly, it's abuse of this tool that they have to chase to find terrorists, and that they use this for these reasons.
Have you heard our association K213 has issued a warning to the Swedish government in order not to extradite you to the Czech Republic, because definitely there won't be any loss of yourself guaranteed by the Czech justice. Have you heard about it, and what do you know about it?
Yeah, I heard about it. It's a document handed over to the Swedish state, and yes, it was something that about the guarantees that Czech Republic gives to Sweden, and that they would not be respected.
Valid, completely unvalid.
Yes, and I know about this. Because Sweden asked for 2 guarantees from the Czech Republic, except for these guarantees that are,
from the law automatic.
From the law, the European Union community, the EU law, that your fundamental rights has to be respected. And this is why they accept to extradite you within the European Union with this European arrest warrant, which is a tool that you can be sent to any state in the European Union with an arrest warrant automatically almost. And in order for this to function, then these countries that are members of this that use this European arrest warrant tool in the European Union, they have to respect fundamental rights. This has to be given
of each person.
Yeah, this has to be given. And so Sweden had not much choice than to extradite me to Czech Republic, based on this European cooperation, and the principle of loyalty within the European Union. And Sweden asked for 2 guarantees. One was that any eventual prison sentence would be carried out in Sweden if I would wish so.
So if you would be sentenced, then you can carry out your punishment in Sweden.
Exactly, in the Swedish prison, and the Swedish system of punishment could be like electronic or whatever. And the second guarantee was that I shouldn't be charged for any other crimes than those stated in the arrest warrant.
Yeah.
And there were actually 3 stated. 2 was to do with this kidnapping, and 1 had to do with that I didn't pay alimony for some time, for some months. And Sweden said, well, this is not illegal in Sweden. It's not against the law. It's not a criminal act not to have money. So this, you have to guarantee that Mr. Burgos, that I will not be tried for this, and no other crimes or charges prior
would appear later.
Would not be, yes. And Czech Republic sent them a letter saying this, we guarantee this too. But then when I came here to Czech Republic and the process started with the court, then the judges were writing that these rights shouldn't, these guarantees should not be respected. Only one, that
judges themselves.
Judges themselves. Yeah. In the decisions, you can see it in the paper that on the only guarantee they agree on was that I would be sent to Sweden if I wanted to carry out the punishment. But the other guarantees that they were not, they shouldn't be respected. So it was correct what the information given to the Swedish state, that these guarantees are not any guarantees that should be trusted.
Have you anyone else warned the Swedish government not to do that, or was it only our association that has do that?
Well, there was I don't remember now. It was I don't know. I think maybe it was only your organization
who was, let's say, in a proper way informing the Swedish government how it's going here.
Yes, if I can remember correctly, if I don't forget anything, so it was only your organization.
That's a pity. That's a pity, and especially there is a pity that the Swedish government didn't follow it. Okay. Yeah. So you were arrested in Sweden, in Gothenburg, as you mentioned. You were put into prison in Sweden, and then you were extradited to the Czech Republic. Is it so?
Yes, I tried to fight extradition in Sweden. I tried to stop it, and the only way to stop an extradition is to if you can show that your fundamental rights will be violated if you are extradited, and well, my claim was that my fundamental rights and the ones of my daughter have been violated, and any further process would be a prolongation of these violations
since the very beginning.
Yes. And this was and their response was that due to the loyalty principles within the European Union, that that I should be extradited, and that they didn't believe that there was sufficient evidence to show that that my rights would be violated, and then I was extradited, and I would say now that many rights, basic rights, have been violated
here after the extradition.
After the extradition, and the ones that I was able to show in court that may be violated, they were actually very minimal compared to the situation here. Also the process, the court process, how it was conducted.
You feel it as a violation of your rights?
Well, I know it's violations of rights.
But by the way, if you compare Czech prison and the Swedish prison, what would you say?
Well, it's like night and day. It's not. You cannot compare it.
It's uncomparable. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. This we have extradition. Well, the court in Semily sentenced you to a punishment. Which a punishment it was?
30 months in prison.
And then it was changed by?
Unconditional. And then it was changed by the
regional court in Hradec.
By the regional court in Hradec. It was changed to conditional sentence, and it was. The funny thing is, I haven't even got the decision yet. It's been more than 1 month, and 1.5. I don't know how long. Maybe 2 months, almost, and I haven't got the decision yet.
They haven't written it.
They haven't written. They say it to me. They said it verbally, but I haven't got it written yet.
Yesterday you were in Brno at the Constitutional Court here. What was the conclusion of the Constitutional Court, and which case it was?
Yeah, it was yesterday. I went there personally to Brno to listen to it, and there was an interpreter, and if they briefly they cancelled part of the decision in Hradec about the civil case, and they said that my family rights and the ones of my daughter have been violated,
By the fact that you were not able or you weren't allowed to see your daughter during the custody in Liberec.
Yeah, after my detention.
After your detention.
After my detention, the court ordered that the contact with my daughter should be in writing. Although my daughter cannot read and write, she was only 6, you know, when this happened. And it also said that the Czech court should stop violating these rights, my family right and my right to a fair trial.
Which you feel as important.
Yeah, they are important. They are important for everybody.
Yes, that's definitely important. Okay, do you expect any change in your cases for the next future from the side of the Czech courts? Do you think they will change their behavior? They will start to respect your rights and the rights of your daughter? I
believe everybody can change. I have a positive attitude to this. I learn from my mistakes. I think the court, the judges can do the same, and we should do this. If we stay the same, then this is I don't know. This would be very terrible for the Czech justice if
maybe my last question: what would you wish at the end to Czech fathers?
Well, I wish them to continue fighting if they are in some court process, and not to be afraid of the system. The system is for them, and they have to change it. It's their obligation for the children, for their families. It's their obligation to do something about it.
Thank you very much. We wish you good luck for everything and what you will be doing. And we hope that we all be able to change it very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.